Before you watch this, I want to know what you think. Say it in the comments.
Just have several other expenses. I've just tried to pay everybody something and just did not pay
Everybody but your child?
Yeah.
Put your child last?
Not
in effect?
In effect, yes.
Yes, sir. Well, how are you barely making it? Where are you getting the money to barely make it?
Right now, I'm just living with my mother.
Mothers are wonderful institutions. They support little children and grown men.
This is, I got a long history. I've been down here time and time again. Each time, supposed to get some money for this lady's child. He doesn't do anything. The only thing we have is promises, and we never seem to get any money out of it.
Keep your hands off of it. And I made it so. Keep your hands off of it. Don't put your hands in place and keep your... Hey, girl! Hey! Just don't put your hand on it no more.
Easy divorce, set loose in the 60s, has soared to new heights and left millions of the nation's children in limbo. They're usually confused, frequently uprooted, and too often short on financial support. Government figures now put taxpayer support for other people's children at about $9.4 billion.
I think unquestionably that the willful failure to provide for children and the interstate flight to avoid supporting children is one of the greatest social problems of our times.
It was the taxpayer burden that prompted the 1975 legislation that required all states to crack down on absent parents, mostly fathers, who were behind in their court-ordered child support, for welfare in private cases, and for children born in and out of wedlock. The states responded by making it easy.
Good morning. I'd like to pay my child support. My visa, please.
In Westchester County, New York, you can charge child support to a credit card. And by making it hard, more and more delinquent fathers end up in jail.
I know he didn't pay.
The stepped-up system seemed to generate as much hostility as money, and both men and women are organizing to fight the system.
If the men are in court, then they can't do anything.
The women to insist on still stronger enforcement, the men to claim discrimination by the courts.
The judge characterizes himself as a male chauvinist, and he says he puts women up on pedestals.
Success in collection varies, and most experts say that finally it's the judge who makes the difference. In Memphis and Shelby County Juvenile Court in Tennessee, Kenneth Turner makes a difference. He's nationally known as a judge who takes child support very seriously.
I've never been opposed for re-election. I was just re-elected to an 8-year term. I don't know what the future will bring, but I intend to serve out that 8 years doing just what I've said I would do when I was first elected over 20 years ago, and that is enforce parents' responsibilities.
Does he have any unusual features or anything about him that we could use to identify him?
Are you a friend of his, or?
What's going to happen is if you don't show up in court down there, they're going to issue a warrant for you.
In Memphis, the Child Support Agency is in the juvenile courthouse, and from parent location to court appearance, Turner can stay in touch. In court, 6 referees preside for him, as he puts it, in his image, Chief Referee Curtis Person.
I think if any one of us got out of tune with that policy that's been established, which is a tough policy for strict enforcement of child support, then I think we would have to go someplace else. Mr. Page, you've been in the courtroom now for almost an hour. You've heard what I've said to the other defendants. It all applies to you. You have an equal obligation where this child's concerned. You're going to have to keep your payments up to date and stop coming down here. You're building a bad record. You've already had 4 complaints. Nothing is more important than taking care of your minor child.
Yes, sir. I mean, I paid it the best I could. As far as the amount that's due, I didn't think it was that much.
And by my records, I thought it was $125. And I've gotten two different amounts, and according to, you know.
Mr. Page, just pay it monthly like you're supposed to, and you won't have to worry about all that. You're in contempt of court, be confined indefinitely to Shelby County Jail until you pay the total arrearage of $285. Another payment will be due between now and the end of the month.
Investigators call these the cases that never close.
And you do it all by yourself without any help from the father. Well, if she can work, Mr. Greer, you can work and help the child too.
If I can find a job.
Do you like to go to jail, Mr. Greer? Would you rather go to jail than pay support?
No, sir.
When you go out and do part-time work and you get money to barely make it on your own, then you've got to share some of that with your child, and you don't ever seem to want to do that. I know you've heard all these things before, Mr. Greer, because you have really been down here a lot.
Let me know what you guys think about this one. Just felt like it needed to be said. Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Far too many times.
Chief Referee Curtis Person.
The only time they seem to close is when the children finally reach the age of majority. Because these parents, that have been back to the court for 8, 10, 12, and 20, and even sometimes 30 times, these people are just going to do everything they can to avoid their responsibility where their children are concerned. This is a $50 weekly support order for 2 minor children. It's been in this court since 1980. Mr. Clemens has apparently never paid anything through the court. For the past year, Mr. Clemens, you're $2,600 behind. Where do you work?
I work for Harts Manufacturing. I've been out there about 4 or 5 months. I was out of work for 3 months this spring. I was out of work for over 3 months last fall. I haven't had the money.
Are you working now?
Yes, sir. And I haven't had...
Full-time?
Yes, sir.
How much money did you bring today?
How much money did I bring today?
How much do you have in your pocket?
I don't know. I got a little over $100. I just gave her 30. I gave her 60 2 weeks ago.
Mr. Clemens, the court is going to let you pay $100 today as a purge payment.
The only way that we can get at some of these people is simply by sending them to jail and saying, look, you can get out of jail if you pay this amount of money. The court has determined that you could have paid this, you should have paid it, you haven't. You're in contempt of court.
$300 a portion of your arrearage. Your payments increase from $50 to $70 semi-monthly on a catch-up plan until you pay off the balance.
Could I ask a question, please?
Yes, sir.
How long will I stay in jail for $300?
You have the keys to the jailhouse door in your pocket. You'll stay there until you pay $300.
All right,
Child support is not child's play here in Memphis. Judge Turner believes in jail. The jails are called Turner's Tanks, and a litany of hard luck and hurt feelings won't stay the sentence. However, these are not common criminals, and the judge says most don't stay locked up for long.
About 98% of them pay within a matter of hours. They get on the phone and call their friends or rake up the money somewhere and pay them.
Brown shoes, blue jeans, light blue shirt.
Turner says his methods are cost-effective, and collection this year will top $12 million, with a third of that going back to the state and federal governments to reimburse them for aid to dependent children. But aggressive investigators here, as elsewhere, are hard put to locate the culprits in child support cases.
I've got a warrant here on my desk for his arrest.
Are you his baby's mother? Oh, I see.
He doesn't live there. You know where he stays at?
About your child support payments, evidently what's happened. You gotten behind in them?
California. When's the last time you saw him?
What's the woman's name on the other case?
And you hadn't seen him in 3 years. All right. Thank you. Probably him.
Undaunted, the child support team took out a double-page ad in the 2 daily newspapers naming the 3,200 worst offenders and asked for information about them. It got results, and they plan to do it again. Another move that shakes out and shakes up fathers in hiding is the periodic daybreak raid.
Weapons, remember our code on weapons. The only time we use them is in our own defense to protect somebody else. We don't have fleeing felons in our particular situation. Okay, assignments are made.
When the public is made aware of what we're doing, they are very appreciative. I did a TV program the other day, and the cameraman at one of our local stations asked me about our B-men. I said, what do you mean our B-men? He said, you're break-in men. You know, the dudes that come out and knock on your door at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, get you out of bed if you hadn't made your child support payments. So it has its humorous side.
Open door.
The humor may be lost on the unsuspecting offender pulled from his house in the early morning mass arrest.
The best time.
Let me know what you think about this one. Truth has a way of reaching places silence never could. Now I want to hear from you.
To catch anyone for service of process, be it a summons or a warrant, is in the early morning hours before they have a chance to leave their place of residence.
The Sheriff's Department. Is Anthony here?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
We need to talk to him. All right, thank you, ma'am.
How you doing, man?
Anthony, we got a warrant for you here on your child support.
A great many will turn themselves in. That's just like the results we got when we ran this large ad in the newspapers. And Lord only knows how many are paying child support because they don't want to see the names in the paper again, or who don't want our officers back out there on the doorstep at dawn.
The raids reap a courtroom full of offenders. Election results bear witness to public approval, but critics feel that arrearages should be dropped and that frequent jailings of the depressed and oppressed constitute one more blow in these hard times. Attorney John Donald.
One of the things that we fail to take note of today is the economy. People are looking for jobs. There just aren't any jobs out here. If you look at the social, economic level of the parties coming in, you consider the fact that most of them are high school dropouts or what have you, without skills in many cases. You know, they're going to find a difficult time finding any type of employment. You will find that people will go out and, through relatives or somebody, will borrow some money to purge themselves. But the minute they borrowed that money to purge themselves, they're in debt. Once they get out, they spend the rest of their time trying to pay that money back, and they'll come back to court again on a contempt citation. And the cycle goes over and over and over. So it's not uncommon to see so many people coming before this court.
It's true that most of those in Turner's courtroom are black, erratically employed, and without a garnishable salary. But increasingly, more and more middle and upper income couples go to court over delinquent child support. An estimated 30% of fathers in this group pay no support.
A person who is average, middle income, or well-to-do, with assets and roots, they cannot escape unless you just have a lenient court that won't enforce child support orders.
Are you ready for Ms. Keithley to testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
Carol Keithley said the circuit court that granted her divorce...
Let me know what you think about this one, because sometimes the truth hits deeper than expected. Now I want to hear from you.
...wouldn't or didn't enforce the child support order. So she transferred her case to Kenneth Turner's juvenile court.
Is the child in school?
She is in kindergarten at Lausanne. Her tuition is provided as part of the cost of my job. I, however, have to pay for her lunch cost, an activity fee, and workbook fee, which totals approximately $465, $470 per 9-month school year. I'm compelled to do this. This is something that I have to do for her sake. Not that the money probably would make that big of a difference. Of course, it will help. But it's a sense of outrage that here he has walked away from all the responsibility and seeks none of it. Not to see her, not to interact with her. But I think that there's a sense of outrage involved, and that you sort of get righteously indignant, and that helps to put the emotionalism aside. Because I don't wish him any ill will. All I want him to do is to live up to his responsibilities.
If Mr. Keithley were able to pay, do you think it's fair for him to pay half of the expense of raising his child?
It would be nice.
Your Honor, I think we would ask $250 a month, subject to Mr. Keithley's ability to make the payments. It is our understanding that he is out of work. However, I think the proof will show that he hasn't made any payments even when he was working.
We notified him by letter of exactly what our intent was. And then we gave him 90 days beyond that. And his response to the letter was, it's very hard, you know, you shouldn't ask me to do this. But I'm going to do it, and of course nothing ever materialized. I have received many phone calls of, there's a check for so-and-so in the mail, and so on and so forth. I ignore all of that. I anticipate nothing.
Mr. Keith? State your name for the record.
Barry Wayne Keithley.
Mr. Keithley, are you working?
Not presently, no, sir.
Are you going to work anytime soon?
Yes, sir, as soon as I can.
Where?
I don't know at this point.
I'm not going to say that it was not fair. I am going to say that the type of notification they give you does not really tell you what you're in for when you get there. If I'd had an attorney and we'd had some time to prepare for this, I think it might have been a little different.
But yet you didn't contribute anything
No, sir, I
towards the
did not
support of
the
this
first
child?
6 months of the year.
Well, why not, Mr. Keith?
I had many other expenses that, of course, I'm not making an excuse. I have been in and out of other courtrooms other than this one for other reasons. Right now I'm fighting a federal tax indictment and just have several other expenses. I've just tried to pay everybody something and just did not.
Everybody but your child?
Yeah.
Put your child last?
Not
in effect?
In effect, yes.
Yes, sir.
Did you think you might end up in jail?
No. No, not at all.
Okay.
Well, I suppose I would have found an attorney regardless of the fee to have prevented that.
How do you get around?
Well, presently I have to rely on somebody else, but before I broke my leg, I just didn't get around.
Well, your parents supporting you at the present time?
Basically right now, yes.
And when you say basically right now, what does that mean?
It means the rent on that apartment's paid as well as the utilities. And that's
What about
all
your food?
The food is provided for.
This is miserable. At 36 years old, this is horrible to sponge off Mama and Papa. It's ridiculous. To me, they are now paying child support again.
Of course, it's going to set your support at $250 a month. You're going to start the first support payment in the month of November. That means that that'll give you the rest of this month. It'll give you the month of October to make arrangements so that you can start paying that amount of support. You make those payments by money order to the clerk of this court. Do not pay her directly.
You're now tuned in to the Fwayé podcast, where love meets logic, and passion meets purpose.
This season, we're bringing the heat with licensed therapists, certified relationship coaches, intimacy experts,
dating strategists, trauma-informed mentors, and more.
Real talk, real experts, real connection, only on Fwayé.
Podcast show live on TikTok every night at 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
I fully expect that in light of yesterday's decision by Senator Person in the courtroom, that he's eventually going to leave the state of Tennessee. I expect this to happen. I do not expect to see the money that was awarded. It was, in my mind, a moral victory, if nothing else. I'm very fortunate in being a pretty strong woman, very independent, enjoy being able to try to control my life insofar as I'm able. Good afternoon. How are y'all? What are all of you doing here so late in the day? I'm the administrator of the Montessori School, which is the elementary division at Lausanne, and a couple of afternoons a week I teach piano. And I watch out for your rhythm patterns when you get right down in here, okay? You know, everything changes, and circumstances change, and people change, and you just got to be flexible enough to sort of roll with the punches. Now let's see what we got. Oh, look at that. There's some good pictures of your daddy. And there's your Uncle Darrell and your Aunt Susan. I was at home with her. I didn't have the responsibility of knowing that I was the one that had to keep the roof over our heads every month. And when all of a sudden that is your responsibility, you undergo a rather major upheaval.
Carol Sue never really wanted anything economically that she didn't get. I bought her a house before we got married, fully furnished. And we always drove new cars. There were anywhere from 2 to 4 of them in the driveway all the time. She always had plenty of clothes. Of course, I had the income to pay for all that now. Rebecca had everything that she could possibly have wanted.
It was very difficult to go down the end of July and to swear out that basically, that's not a warrant, but to swear out this information against him, because I knew that he was unemployed. I knew that he had recently either quit or lost his job, and I'm not sure which. I don't believe I'll ever know. But it was a very difficult thing to do. But yes, I think I'd do it again. Look at your daddy all dressed up. See, he has on a tuxedo. If he fails to pay, because he ordered him to pay through the court is the one that takes the next step. And so he basically lifted that burden from my back.
Director of the Family Institute of Westchester in New York, Elizabeth Carter, says research shows that children of divorce do precisely as well as their mothers do.
So that if you have a depressed mother who doesn't accept the divorce and is devastated by it and can't get the reins of her life in her own hands, you have children with trouble. If mother's able to recover, get it in perspective and get on with her life, then the children do very well, and in fact do better than children in an intact family where the parents are bickering.
With the house and being on AFDC, I feel that he has control on my life, and really the government does too. You know, they're supporting my children. They call all the shots.
I teach, so I mean I do have an income, but we live in genteel poverty. I mean, I have 5 children, and it became an issue with me that I had to make an attempt, because with 3 sons, I don't want them to grow up and think that they can do the same thing their dad did.
The poverty picture in America is the image of women, single heads of household, sole support of minor children. Their court-ordered child support may have been modest and inadequate to begin with, but now half these women get only part of that support due them, and over 1.2 million receive none at all.
I was working under the Displaced Homemaker Program, which was a federally funded program.
In Wisconsin, 1 month after her divorce, 32-year-old Jackie Like went on welfare. She has custody of 3 minor children.
But I felt, you know, I have to have a little self-respect. I had to go on AFDC because there was no support. And now, because I've worked for 4 months, they cut my grant by $100 a month. Plus my hours are up the 1st of March, so I had to cut my hours so I would still have some type of an income coming in. So it's like if he would just pay his support, whatever I did would cover the difference, you know. And I haven't really quite figured out for February and March how we're going to make it yet, financially.
6 months after the divorce was final, Jackie is still surprised that payments to the court are so sparse and sporadic.
I think I went through the hurt stage, and then the stage where you just don't comprehend it, you don't understand it, and then mad, and then bitter. And I don't like the bitter stage. That's the part I don't like, being bitter. But you do get bitter, and I think they get bitter too. But they don't have to deal with those kids and worry about feeding them and keeping them warm in the winter time and keeping a roof over their head and school, clothes. It's all, you know, how can they walk away from a situation and say, well, we're not married anymore, so too bad, kids.
In an unusual move, the aggressive Racine, Wisconsin support team took Richard Like's sports car to hold it for auction against his delinquent child support.
They felt, you know, this was an asset, and that when you have children's support, you have an asset like that, you sell it and continue to pay your support. And I didn't want him to lose his car. It wasn't the point I was trying to get across to him.
Tell me about your car.
Which one?
Well, the Corvette.
The Corvette?
Mm-hmm.
What's there to tell? They took the car away from me to cover back support payments.
How'd you feel about that?
Well, I guess there's, like anybody would feel when they have one of their prized possessions taken away from them. Nothing I could do about it. Courts say, you gotta take it away from me, and that's it.
It was a prized possession?
Well, it was a 1978 Silver Anniversary Corvette.
What do you think's going to happen when your husband remarries?
I don't think I'll see a dime. And I'm just looking at the other woman's view. You know, if he's not going to be working, I don't think she's going to say, hey, well, here, we have to pay your support this week, because she has children, too, to feed. And that goes right back to being a mother. You know, your own kids come first.
Now, how are you going to manage the second family when you're still so...
You're now tuned in to the Fwayé podcast, where love meets logic, and passion meets purpose.
This season, we're bringing the heat with licensed therapists, certified relationship coaches, intimacy experts,
dating strategists, trauma-informed mentors, and more.
Real talk, real experts, real connection. Only on Fwayé.
Podcast show live on TikTok every night at 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
Debt to the first family.
Well, in debt for the first family probably should be covered once they sell the car. And then the courts are going to take the money and hold it. As far as I know, they're going to keep a percentage of the sale of the car and hold it in case I do ever get behind in my support payments.
Richard Like says his construction business had gone downhill at the same time that Jackie filed for divorce and their property was divided. He says now that he lives from day to day.
I cover all aspects of construction. I'm a mason by trade, but I do carpentry work. A friend might call up and might have some work for me to do. I'll go put in a couple hours with him for cash pay, $10, $7, $8 an hour, whatever.
Richard Like tried to have his payments reduced, but the court has said no.
They felt that I was hiding money, that I was working, getting all this money for cash jobs, and more or less hiding the money. But that isn't true.
It's not?
No.
When you went to jail briefly,
yes.
Right? And you did come up with whatever it was, $825 to get out right away. Where'd that money come from?
I had to sell my motorhome. I had a motorhome. I we had it 50-50, myself and my ex-wife, and I bought out her half of it. That I had to sell real quick to come up with some money to get out of jail. Because believe me, I don't like sitting in jail.
Wouldn't it have been easier to sell your motorhome and your car and to stay current with your payments than go through the contempt of court charges and go to jail and have them attach the car and all that?
Well, if you sell everything you have just to keep current on your support, then what is there left for you? This was a rough time for me, the divorce itself. And to give away all my activities, a motorhome, which I enjoy camping very much, what would I have left?
Where do the children fit into this? Are they number one before motorhomes and cars?
Oh yes, my children are number one.
The Likes' jointly owned house is up for sale. Jackie doesn't have plans beyond a move from her longtime neighborhood. But more immediately, she worries about the time when her federally funded job will be cut.
I said, I really know what it means now to be a woman out in that world alone. I mean, I have my friends and I have people who support me, but it's rough out there.
Is there any answer?
I don't know. I wish there was. Yeah, just keep plugging along. Just tell myself, put your feet in the ground and be like a rabbit and put your haunches down and just stand your ground. That's all you can do.
We will send, send
With numbing certainty that the fight to collect support will be frustrating and probably futile, women keep trying. Around the country, unpaid child support has spawned support groups, ready to challenge the legal system, which they say is wanting. And some judges agree. Baltimore Circuit Court Judge Robert B. Watts.
The system isn't working. We know it. We recognize it. on this bench is so overwhelming, really. And every time we try to make reforms, it requires more manpower, which we can get, the use of more courts and more personnel, which we don't have the money for. So what we're really doing is the best we can under bad circumstances. And for instance, I tried non-support cases 3 mornings a week. We call it sort of the squirrel court. My courtroom's packed. I don't have the time to listen to a father who says, Judge, I don't mind supporting my family, but I can't see my children, or she's not spending the money right. I don't have time for that. I got a courtroom full of people.
But it would seem to me in this day and age with the computers that somewhere somebody should know who he is and where he is, and why can't somebody find him?
Good question.
In Maryland, calling that state too lenient on child support matters, the Organization for the Enforcement of Child Support was formed to educate the public and to put pressure on judges and politicians.
I have been fighting for non-support since 78. Since 78, I have been in a courtroom 23 times, and 2 lawyers later, I'm not receiving anything.
Their political clout is still in doubt, but they do ask hard questions. About the parent locator computer, which tracks fathers who've taken off for other places, and about Project Intercept. This is the new federal program that allows the IRS to withhold tax refunds if the recipient is behind in child support payments. Right now, that applies only to welfare cases. These mothers question the entire system.
Now, what do you do when you're like that? You feel like you can't win, you know? This same man is sitting up there saying, send it back to criminal court. And when I got back to criminal court, this same judge was sitting right up there, sending it back to equitable court.
Okay. Because you probably wanted your arrearages or something like that.
Yes.
Well, if you're willing to, what I'm saying to you is if you're willing to forgive the back money, because you'll probably, what's the difference? If you call something, if he owes you, say, thousands of dollars, okay, and and the present order would say $30 a week, okay. Let's say he's going to give you $30 a week. What's the difference if you're going to say he's going to make him pay another $30 a week on the back money, or have him pay $60 a week present support?
Group member Ruby Williams works in a bakery to support 5 minor children and to stay off welfare. Her ex-husband is a longshoreman. She receives no support.
Nobody goes to get him. Sometimes I feel very lonesome and just like life is passing me by. But I know I have to, take care of these children, so it sort of pulls me together, And I think I'm doing a halfway decent job, trying to take care of them. It's sort of nice to see something that you created growing up and developing into, men and women. And you just hope for the best. You do the best you can and hope for the best. No, you put your long, this is the short vowel sound, and this your long vowel sound, right? That's your sound. This right, you put this here. That's your long. I manage because they helps out a lot.
Since our dad walked out on us, I think that it is my responsibility to make sure these children grow up right and proper. And also to help my mom in any way I can.
What do you want to do for yourself?
Well, I always want to travel and get to see the world and help people. But before that, I gotta make sure that my family well taken care of, especially the little one. I think she's great. I'm happy to have her for a mother, because she gave up a lot for us, and I do mean a lot.
Like all the things that were discussed here tonight, I have been through it, and I know it doesn't work. Because first of all, when you go into a courtroom, they are not as courteous to you as they are at a meeting. They aren't. They don't take a non-support care seriously. When a child doesn't have enough food to eat, warm clothing to wear, that's criminal. That's child abuse.
We wrote to Nathaniel Williams to ask for an interview, but we received no response.
My name is Linda Seward. 8 years ago, I was awarded in Harford County, and I see there are no representatives from Harford County, and that doesn't surprise me.
I don't know if they were invited.
I guess they were.
Right.
I've been a member of this organization for 2 years.
Linda Seward wants to go back to court to collect the thousands of dollars in child support she says is long overdue from her ex-husband.
When we were married, my husband was an excellent father. He was the best father that I ever saw.
Queen, it's not just about finding love, it's about building something real. On the Fwayé podcast, we talk dating with purpose, healing with power, and choosing partners who match your peace. Expect truth, growth, and real conversations that lead to marriage. Dating isn't just about chemistry, it's about clarity. If you're tired of surface-level talk, Fwayé is where we go deeper. Love doesn't have to be a guessing game. When you know your worth, you date with wisdom. Join the conversation on the Fwayé podcast, where real talk meets real transformation. Your healing starts here.
When we were first separated for the first year on his days off, he came over and watched the boys for me while I was working. And on occasion, even had dinner ready when I came home. I mean, we got along fine, and you know, he was coming around every week. He was seeing the boys. He was taking them, doing things with them. And he was voluntarily giving me, at that time, $50 a week for the boys. I'd say the last 8 months before the divorce, I noticed he was coming less. He was paying less.
Good girl, Tess. Yeah, you good girl.
My children were babies, 3 and 5 years old. And I didn't want to take their father away from them. I just wanted the separation from him. But I didn't anticipate this long separation from him and the boys. And at that time, you would have never convinced me that he would have taken off and just dismissed them off of the earth, which is more or less what he has done. I don't want to go on welfare. I don't want to go on public assistance. I would like to have the money right now that I've paid out in attorney fees. And since I discovered this organization for child support enforcement, knowing what I know now and knowing what they know, how to tell me to go about things, I will never hire an attorney again to collect child support.
Why is it so hard to transfer probation from why should I live in Baltimore County. My divorce took place in Harford County. Why should I have to lose a day's wages every so many months to go travel to Harford County to go through all these proceedings to get a summons served on him to appear in court and for him to disappear?
I can't answer you as to the problem between the probation departments.
What?
That's not
Is
within
there a
my
way of
jurisdiction.
transferring my probation?
I have no
from
idea.
Harford County? You don't have any
I
idea?
have no idea.
All we want is what is rightfully belongs to our children.
We couldn't locate Gary Seward to invite him to respond. According to Linda Seward, he's moved several times to other states. Baltimore Judge Robert Watts.
They come down, the husband doesn't show up. We issue a warrant. We pick him up, we post bail, we set it in again, they come down. Then he claims, I don't have any money. So I said, well, you got to support your family. I'm going to give you 30 days to get a job. So then she's got to come back, and this is what the women complain. In the meantime, she gets nothing.
This was the summer we spent so much time at the beach. Those great tans.
A sophisticated knowledge of the law among professionals and upper-income ex-spouses may make collection even harder than usual.
And it's been 6 years, and it wasn't until very recently that anything was really done. But I think it's unfortunate.
Group member Dana O'Neill says the court finally garnished her attorney ex-husband's salary after arrearages mounted.
Well, I think that for most part, maybe the man who kind of lower on the scale feels that you're supposed to do what the court says. The court says you got to pay it, you got to pay it. So he pays it. And somebody who's a little more with it, particularly somebody who's in the legal game, realizes if the court says something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go ahead and do it. I mean, you can drag it out, or you can just do whatever games and strings that need to be pulled, and you can really avoid the whole thing. Eventually, kids are going to get to the point where they're 18 years old. After a while, the courts don't want to hear about it anymore anyway. If something hasn't been done, they tend to say, well, wow, that's a lot of money. Where is he going to come up with that much money? We'll just erase that thing, and you better start paying from this time on, buddy, and then it doesn't get paid. It had to cost him a fortune, this legal maneuvering. It hasn't been cheap for him. I mean, he has to pay attorneys and all of that.
Was it embarrassing for him as a professional to have his
salary garnishment?
Yeah, he was really upset. He was really worried about that it wasn't going to look good for the company.
We asked Robert O'Neill to participate, but he declined. Over the years, a sense of outrage seems to shift to a sense of defeat. And yet these women keep trying to collect child support, because to stop, they say, is to deny paternal responsibility. Elizabeth Carter.
I think that marital conflict is a ping pong game, okay? And very, very often, well, your lawyer only hears the pong or the ping, depending on who he's talking to, you know? The judge, well, he's supposed to see the ping pong, but he may or may not, see, because every lawyer will tell you some judges are very tough and some are very lenient. Well, what does that mean? It means they have an idea of whose side or which cause they're in favor of, and they sort of go that way.
The rights of the father to be involved with his children is totally ignored. He is viewed as one thing, a money machine.
And around the country, fathers are saying that only the ping is heard in the nation's courts.
Maybe it's our job, and maybe it's our job to convince our legislators that men in this country have been discriminated as much as women in this country have also been discriminated in the involvement and the nurturing and the caring process of our children. And we are more to our children than just money.
The men I know in our organization here, which is Westchester, which is a suburban community, their life's goal was to get a good job, become responsible citizens, get a home, bring up a family, not to ever leave it. They wanted to be in a nest, just as any woman wants to be in a nest, and they feel badly kicked out of that nest.
Over 135 divorced men's groups have organized under the umbrella banner of the National Congress for Men. They legislate for enforcement of visitation rights and push for joint custody laws.
Joint custody, when it is given to both parents, the going back into court to argue about joint custody violations, if there are any, return to court is 1/3 less than when one parent only has custody. And yet there's a constant argument that joint custody can only be worked if both parties can get along. Well, both parties wouldn't be getting divorced if they got along. But if both parties have a contract of joint custody, you live up to the contract, the way partners live up to it. Partners don't get along, but they adhere to the contract.
In New York State, the movement has been growing rapidly, and various groups get together to compare problems and goals. Compliance with child support orders varies among members, but unlike fathers who disappear, these men maintain their connection and stay to fight for what they call unfair treatment of fathers.
When child support is meted out by the courts, there is no consideration taken of what the child's needs are, only what they could squeeze out of the father.
Fathers groups are incensed about Project Intercept, that law that permits the IRS to seize income tax refunds in AFDC cases. And President of Equal Rights for Fathers of New York State, John Rossler, has filed a class action suit in protest and is encouraging other groups to do the same.
Punitive measures, at best, are going to be only mediocre in resolving the problem. I think what we've got to do is we've got to look at the reasons of why ex-spouses and ex-parents, who are mainly fathers, don't pay.
You're a visitor, you make your payments, go away, and just pay.
Well, you know, this word keeps...
And eventually they just give up because their visitation, if they have a visitation order from the courts, is not enforced either by the local police or by the courts themselves. They don't want to go to the trouble, but they see themselves there as making sure that she's provided with her child support, and that's their prime function.
When we first hit the system, we're told we don't have a chance for custody, we don't have a chance for joint custody unless we make a deal. So what we do is we negotiate. If we have the wherewithal to pay more money than the court would automatically award, then we buy custody, if our ex-wife or current wife allows us to.
Phil Newhouse has daughter Rhonda with him about half the time, which he says works well for them. His support payments, however, are full-time obligations.
Financially, I am obligated to support my daughter the half of the time she is here, as well as make support payments, which I am, at this point, not current with, to her mother, in addition to the obligations that I have here for this half the time. Lucky that I get enough cheese for the sandwich with you around, because you usually eat it all while I'm making it, huh? To me, quality time incorporates time as well as quality. And to visit your daughter half a day a week or 1 day a week or some such situation, to me represented not really being able to be a parent. And to me, parenting was spending those good moments as well as the bad moments with the child, imbuing values, spending real time, not just entertaining time, not just a Disney World kind of time, the kind of time that the child sees you cleaning a house or doing dishes or cooking or just being yourself, reading.
What this is? What is that?
A lily pad.
Playing games together.
What frogs sit on.
Watching TV together.
That's what frogs sit on.
Okay, ribbit, ribbit.
And the kinds of things, the kinds of conversations that come up as a result of being together on a casual basis as opposed to the kinds of forced conversations that come up. Well, here we are. This is now our 5 hours to be together. What do we do now? How do we catch up with the week's progress? What's in your heart? What's on your mind?
Dad, you know what? At my mommy's house, I made all the invitations already.
You did?
I made my whole list and
Oh, my
made all
goodness.
the invitations.
What day are you having for dinner?
December 11th.
At this point, I am considerably behind. And the reason I'm considerably behind is because I'm barely making payments on my own rent. I assumed all of the marital debts in full, which I'm paying off. I am literally having difficulty keeping a roof over our heads at this point, and I can only assume that that's the reason why my ex-wife has not come after me for support payment. She actually did once, but in many months she has not at this point, because I suspect she understands that I just don't have it. Remember, what was your favorite thing at the circus?
The clowns.
What?
Clowns.
What did the clowns do?
Sang in the tricks.
What?
And the clown was smiling. It's all because of you, the clown told Rhonda. Now
The facts as I see them are that I'm a loving, nurturing father of my daughter, that I have her physically half of the time, and I'm supporting her, I think, in a very comfortable way. Not materially comfortable, but certainly well above the necessity level in terms of the time I have her. I know the perfect place to have the circus, she cried. Follow me. Where'd you go?
The school.
I mean, I'm caught in a double bind. The double bind is that if I were to turn the clock back and perhaps go out and try to earn a great deal more money than I'm currently earning, I may not have the amount of time I have with my daughter. So in order for me not to be a potentially bad guy in terms of paying or catching up with my ex-wife's payments, it would require, at this point, taking away time that I would ordinarily be with my daughter. The priorities in my life are being Rhonda's daddy, number one, and being a breadwinner, number two.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tweety Bird. And we're not defending those who want no responsibility. What we are saying is you can't separate financial support from physical and emotional support. When a parent ceases to become a parent, it follows that they will not want to be financially involved. What we're talking about is developing and maintaining a system that maintains parental support, which includes financial support, but stop defining men's parenting roles or fatherhood as how much you write out of the checkbook.
For a year after our separation, we did sole custody because we didn't know anything else. Yeah. And my ex-wife in no way attempted to thwart, deny, or frustrate visitation. And I can tell you the feeling of second-class status of a nothing of a parent for them when I was totally involved with my children, of picking them up on a Saturday morning and knowing that Saturday night or Sunday sometime I had to bring them back and I would not see them again. I was not involved in the decision of where they're going to school, what they're going to take in school. Are they going to go into ice skating this year? Is my daughter going to be a cheerleader this year? But all that stuff, I mean, it got to the point I used to pick them up on a Saturday, and a couple of times I brought them back in tears. And it wasn't my ex-wife that did it. The system did it. It completely excluded me from any involvement, any decision-making, any importance in my child's life.
Problems that 2 decades ago would be settled by a informed uncle on the back porch and take an afternoon to solve now take 2 years of litigation and 2 appeals and cost over $40,000. Whereas we no longer leave ourselves in the hands of our family and our caring relatives, but we give it to strangers who have vested interest in their own financial gain to achieve.
Periodontist Walter Lippau has given up his practice for health reasons and now lectures part-time. With joint custody, his 2 children live 1 week with their mother and 1 week with him, second wife Giselle, and their child.
My financial obligation to my ex-wife is the same as it would be as if she had the children all the time. I have to pay support even when the children aren't with me. And I pay support when the children are with me, which seems strange to be giving her money while they're living with me, especially since they live with me half the time.
His children are part of this household now, and therefore my income as well as his go for the support of the children. I've accepted it. I never really gave it too much thought, because if I did, then I would just have a very deep resentment of the whole situation and for the children, and in order to avoid that, I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, John, you go across. I'm in arrears at this particular time because I can't possibly make the payments that I'm called upon to make. They were made in a very almost rubber stamp fashion, based without any testimony, just innuendos that my ex-wife's lawyer said, and the court just seemed to believe it. And so I have to show that it isn't the truth. So it's not a question of even using a strategy of non-payment. I can't afford to do it. And in order to show the court that I can't afford to do it, I have to use Giselle's salary or parts of it to pay for lawyers to try to show the court.
I don't like living with these pressures on me. It's a constant awareness that we have this situation to deal with.
I feel helpless in the situation because there's always the threat of jail.
The court has threatened jail, calling Lippau's non-payment a blatant disregard of the law. Support payments were reduced, but litigation continues, and it doesn't come cheap.
If you think a lawyer is not doing well or a judge is not doing well, all you can do is appeal it, and the appeals are horrendously expensive. You're talking about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. We've spent incredible sums of money. I'm embarrassed to say how many tens of thousands we've spent, not to avoid anything, just to create the truth. And no one seems to want to listen. And I'm not talking about a father who willfully doesn't try to support his children, or one who runs away. We have no sympathy for that kind of person. But the one who stays, as I've stayed, make sure that I'm in the children's life, to feel in any way that I am not a good father when I'm bringing up my children, that disturbs me, when the court's not recognizing that.
Well, in fact, in reality, some of it is unrealistic at best. A man who's left with $300 or $400 or $500 a month to live on is going to take a powder, is going to leave if the quality of his life falls too far down, particularly in light of the fact that the quality of his parenting life is not too great anyway.
The face-off between spouses, followed by the face-off with the legal system, tends to obscure the fact that child support is about children.
They'd say, I shall now dedicate the rest of my life to getting the so-and-so. I shall now make a shrine in my bedroom dedicated to my ex-husband, and I'll devote the rest of my life to taking him to court. Isn't that wonderful?
Is there a solution? Divorce mediation, a back porch approach that includes a mutual parental plan for the children, is in the vanguard. Judge Watts.
I consider that the domestic law of the 80s is mediation and conciliation. And we have a lot of lawyers and behavioral scientists are now coming into that field. If I was a young man, I'd go into that field. I think now people are recognizing the destructiveness of a divorce court. It's been described, I remember my favorite expression, a divorce court is a destructive arena for the escalation of anxieties, and that's exactly what it does.
Now, going to court is not particularly a tactic that works, since there aren't jails that are tall enough or wide enough, and it hasn't had any effect whatsoever on the rate of compliance. So going to court does make you feel wonderful, and you vent some of your fury, and you hope you conduct a reign of terror, and you harass him. But if we're thinking about getting money for your children, it may not be effective. The most effective technique may be, God forbid, to sort of be relatively civil and friendly with him, and get together on a plan and be cheerful about it and friendly and work out something.
Mediation has its critics. Former president of the Matrimonial Lawyers of America, Arthur Balbirer, says that males, usually more conversant with family finances, may, during divorce, take advantage of women who don't have an advocate to advise them.
Mediation is, in my way of thinking, a fact of life. It is something which is coming and in which, in my opinion, is not in the interests of the public. I personally believe that both parties that are going through a divorce, no matter how fair they may say they wish to be, are to some extent governed by selfishness. The woman wants as much as she can get, but says she wants to be fair, and probably does, and the husband says he wants to support his family in the best way he can, but on the other hand wants to have as good a life for himself as possible. In going through the process of negotiating a resolution, I personally feel both of these people are emotionally involved, as well they should be, and are not very good advocates on their own behalf in order to resolve this matter.
A new proposal would treat child support as a tax and collect through the withholding system. This would take it out of the courts and establish uniformity in the collection system.
Would you sign this for me, Sinclair?
Sure. Right on the X?
Yeah.
But incarceration or credit card, through the swirl of rage and rhetoric, the fact remains. Children must be supported, and society has not said it wants to support other people's children. In 1981, the government picked up $1.6 billion in child support. This year, child support is due from approximately 4.2 million absent parents. The message is clear. Ignoring that responsibility is not a parental option.
We can't verify anything with the number.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Daddy's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Daddy's gonna buy you a diamond ring.
This is your invite to Fwayé Live, weekdays at 7 p.m. Tap in. You're now tuned in to the Fwayé podcast, where love meets logic, and passion meets purpose.
This season, we're bringing the heat with licensed therapists, certified relationship coaches, intimacy experts,
dating strategists, trauma-informed mentors, and more.
Real talk, real experts, real connection, only on Fwayé.
Podcast show live on TikTok every night at 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
The preceding program was made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.